What did Kratos see in Zeus' shadowed vault that turned gods to dust? Olympus rises, marble claws piercing cloud sea. Cloud bloodline Sia Asgard's gold hall glows, Jotunheim's teeth gnash above Unmaker Midgard's crimson fjords. Kratos ancient and walks bleeding, Atreus silent beside him. Beneath Zeus' throne, a chamber breathes veins of void stone, older than rage. Its whispers name his bloodline, Unmaker. Walls ache with a pact, ancient and bleeding. Ragnarok was not end, it was an omen. The chamber breathed, stone ribs arched like a lung. Kratos' blade split its seal not to free prisoners, but to drown them. Gods had carved this vault to bind a hunger older than Olympus. Zeus' own blood, mingled with Callisto's, now fed the cracks. Not immortality, but a lease. The throne's splendor was a ledger of debts paid in void stuff, every promisee a garnish for the primordial debt collectors. Kratos' rage was a symptom, the true horror, his child's eyes mirrored the abyss. The gods feared not his sword but the heir who would inherit the Pact, a throne of immortal kings. A lie etched in the marrow of mountains, the vault's final mural showed Olympus not falling but unmaking, a circle closed, a debt collected. The mural bled into truth, Kratos' blade sank again and again, Lysandra's throat, Calliope's back, Eris' laughter. The hidden chamber beneath Zeus' throne held no relics. Only a table, 3 outstretched hands carved into the stone Zeus, Hades, Hestia. Their shadows fed a void, a pact older than the Titanomachy. The gods had bartered the blood of a relentless man to leash the primordial darkness. Kratos' rage was not his own, it was a ledger. His sons would inherit the debt, his daughters the collateral. The chamber's air reeked of burnt myrrh. A warning left by Hestia's hand, asterisk let the wrath of man become the prison of gods. Asterisk how many generations had the Olympians calculated? How many murders balanced their survival? Kratos' bloodline was not cursed, it was a cipher, a key. The void did not hunger for flesh. It hungered for the Pact's completion, every war, every betrayal. The furies that haunted him were not judges, they were counters, tallying the cost. When Kratos smashed the chamber's seals, the void did not weep. It yawned. The gods fled not because they feared his rage, they feared the arithmetic. The final digit, a child's name etched in the dust, the same name that would one day unmake Olympus, not with a scream, with a sigh. The vault's doors groaned open, not to Zeus' wrath, but to silence. Stone walls glowed with sigils borrowed from the void itself, a debt paid in primordial blood. Kratos' blade halted, its edge trembling as the chamber's truth seeped into his marrow. Here the gods had bargained, not for power, for permanence. Odin in his cursed hunger had read the riddle too late. The prophecy's duality coiled in the air. A child's rise would shatter what Aesir and Titan could not. Zeus' shadow loomed in frescoes, his lightning dimmed by the Pact's price. The chamber pulsed with a heartbeat not of this realm. Kratos traced the child's name, his own, sans carved by hands older than time. The gods feared not the boy's rage, but his inheritance. A lineage straddling creation and unmaking. Odin's eyes, in his final dream, saw the same truth. Knowledge is a blade without a hilt. The vault's secret was no weapon, it was a wound, a promise the void would one day collect. Kratos' hand closed around a shard of primordial stone-cold, hungry. The prophecy did not ask for a hero, it demanded a sacrifice. And the bloodline, bound to both throne and abyss, would decide which it became. The chamber breathed cold, no torch could pierce its black stone. Kratos bled the lock open. A tablet waited, carved not by gods but by something older. The Olympians had buried a pact here, their thrones balanced on a void's promise. A warlord's bloodline would one day unmake the sky. Zeus' murder was not the end, it was the signature. When Kratos ripped the god-killer's blade from the altar, the vault shuddered. The prophecy's truth was not in killing kings, it was in the son left behind. The same blood that shattered Olympus now carried the void's seed. Did the gods tremble because he was a murderer, or because their own hand had forged his weapon? Above, the first snow of Fimbulwinter choked the heavens. Kratos had given mortals hope, but in that chamber he stole something sharper, a future, a curse. The gods did not fear his rage, they knew his legacy would burn brighter and darker. But ruin is later than that. Beneath Olympus' bones, Kratos found Atreus' prophecy etched in voidstone, not of destruction, but inheritance. God's pact, power borrowed from primordial dark, paid in blood. Each choice Atreus makes carves closer to death's due. What price defies gods? Answer blades in his veins. The chamber's walls were etched with a pact, a debt in blood, a price in lineage. The primordial void did not hunger, it yearned. To unmake what the gods had bound, Kratos found the vault cold, its iron door sealed with Zeus' own sigil. Inside, bones of kings. Scrolls of oaths, a blade rusted in the throat of a throne. Zeus' death had not freed the world, it unchained a lie older than time. Odin, blind to his own folly, carved runes to delay the inevitable. His knowledge was not power, it was a curse, a clock ticking toward fracture. The last to stand were not warriors, a scholar, a child king, their names erased. The vault became a tomb, not of gods. Of promises choked by their own weight. Hope was not a light, it was a crack in the dam, and chaos poured through. Kratos' bloodline was not a weapon, it was the key, the lock, the door. The chamber's whisper lingers, what is won when all debts are paid in ash? No answer remains, only the echo of a broken vow. Only the silence of the unmade. The air is thick with the tang of old blood, but now dusk coats the stones, cold and still. Dripping water echoes where once the voids whisper gnawed at Kratos' sanity. Atreus walks through pine-scented wilderness, his bow a lighter burden than the shadow of his name. He spares a wounded wolf, kneeling to bind its flank, a gesture his father once refused to make. Kratos watches from the tree line, his blade sheathed, his throat tight with the taste of ash. The gods no longer tremble. The sun warms Olympus, and somewhere a child laughs, a sound the gods once forgot how to hear. Kratos taught his son to hunger not for vengeance, but for the quiet between heartbeats. Yet in the sealed chamber's depths, a single oil lamp still flickers, its flame too steady, as if waiting. Atreus wonders if mercy is a blade disguised as grace. Kratos wonders if he has built a cage of lessons or a door. The prophecy sleeps, but the void remembers, and memory is the slowest of poisons. Zeus, the thunderer who chained his sons in amber light, his shadow stretches across the chamber's bloodstone walls where pacts were carved with primordial teeth. Odin, the one-eyed king who traded a realm for a glimpse beyond fate's veil. His runes scar the air, whispering of knowledge that devours its keeper. Kratos, the blade in the god's hand, the stain in the god's line. His seed, not his sword, curdles the blood of Olympus into something older than dread. The vault breathes. Its iron doors bore the weight of 3 oaths, Zeus' fear, Odin's hunger, and Kratos' silence. Callisto's blood flows thin here, a river of might-have-beens. What did he find? Not a weapon, not a curse, a mirror. Fate's thread it showed was no loom, it was a leash. The void did not hunger for gods, it hungered for heirs. Kratos' sons would not inherit a throne, they would inherit a wound, a door. A name the void had already learned, the chamber seals with his footsteps. The prophecy stirs, and memory is the slowest of poisons. The air hums with rust. Kratos' blade scrapes ancient bronze, peeling away Ares' armor, its edges slick with the iron tang of long-dead blood. Runes etched in the breastplate flicker, whispers of an oath to the void, a pact sealed in the titanomic his shadow. The chamber's damp clings to his cloak, the torchlight casting Ares' face in jagged relief, a god's pride now choked by moss. A step forward. The floor shudders, Norse runestones jut from the dust, their carvings fractured, the prophecy of Atreus half buried. Kratos kneels. His fingers trace the runescold, granular, sharp with old enchantments. The words fracture again, their warnings of Ragnarok swallowed by the void's hunger. The scent of ash rises as if the stones burn even now. In the vault's heart, a fissure yawns. The void breathes through it, air thick with ozone, a primordial stench. Kratos recalls Nidavelir's forges, the weight of Mjolnir's absence. Here the god's fear is not of his rage but the line of sons who might wield his blood. The prophecy stirs. A truth rusts in the dark, the chamber was never a tomb. It was a warning, and warnings, like hope, are fragile things. Kratos' blade split the stone. Beneath Zeus' throne, the vault breathed a hollow lung of ancient dread. Here the gods did not conquer, they bargained. With shadows older than their thrones, the tablets spoke in ash, a lineage carved not to rule but to unravel. Each birth a thread in the loom of chaos, the blood that could silence the void or become it. Pandora's jar held a whisper. This chamber held a chorus, hope, the first god to taste mortal doubt, twisted in the dark. Salvation and ruin knelt side by side, their faces mirrored in the same scarred flesh. Did the gods fear Kratos' rage? No. They feared the boy who would one day stand where Zeus stood, the daughter who would weep for a world her father's wars made unrecognizable. Legacy is a chain, some links forged in fire, others in silence. The chamber's walls throbbed with that silency, a pact to smother what could not be slain. Yet the walls could not mute the truth. Hope is not a thing to be buried. It is a spark that outlives the hand that kindles it. The gods sealed their fear, they did not seal their fate. Somewhere a child inherits the scars and the choice to break the cycle or become its final act. Beneath Zeus's throne, Kratos unearthed truth, a pact. Gods bartered eternity for void's power, debt unpaid. Atreus' prophecy does not speak of rage. It speaks of blood, lineage etched in copper.